A lot of my textures begin with something like this. This is a combination of coffee, sawdust, beads from water filters. So what happens is I take these elements of texture, and here's a small triptych I'm working on. And you'll see already that I've got the texture and then I've got layers of paint. So the way I keep layering things up is I'll add a little more texture. So I add a little more texture, but I don't completely cover the layers beneath. The reason why is I'd like for the next layer of paint to be able to attach to the bottom layer below it, so that there's a little connection between each layer. So I'll put down a layer of this flatter red. I'll put that down first. So you can see where this new layer of paint in certain places is going to attach to the layer below it. And while this is still wet, I'm going to do a wet on wet with the other color. Okay, here we go. Okay, wet on wet and texture. So what'll happen then after this dries, another layer of texture and more paint. And I'll build it up until I get it where I need it, and then I'll show you what I do after that. Okay, here's a painting I recently finished. This painting was covered with texture and layers of paint. And so I had to shake out most of the texture. And now I'm at a point where I have to do the final rinse. I have to rinse these paintings to remove all the texture that's still down underneath all those layers. So the way I do that is real simple. I have a garden hose, and that's it. I take a garden hose and I'll rinse out all of that texture. You can see the texture coming down and rinsing out. So I'll finish this up and then show you the final. Okay, I gave it a great rinse, and now that all that texture has been washed out of there, you can get a little bit clearer view. Okay, before I put the next layer on, I got to show you my video setup here. This is an old core from a water filter. It's got a nice hole in there, and a rag. Just put this rag down in there, and then this holds my phone in here. So I just stick this guy in here, and then I'll attach my phone there, and that's my video rig. Okay, I'm going to do the next round of texture. This is still slightly wet, which is good. I have this came out of a water filter. This is the media that came out of a water filter, and I like to put this in with the layers. It gives it a nice glow. So here we go, a little more texture. I guess you can hear the birds and the ducks in the background. Okay, time for a little more of this flat red. Okay, that's good. Okay, and now a little more of the of this brighter red. I'm using a palette knife here to drip this. Gives me a finer line, a little more control. I have to get these acrylic paints pretty juicy in order to get them to flow like this. I'm putting these thinner layers on top of that thicker flat red. They'll be kind of like a netting that will bind everything together and give it a nice juxtaposition between the two colors. All right, we'll let that dry and go to the next layer. Okay, so this piece here is companion to this triptych over here, and this will give you a little better view of what can happen with these layers. Okay, this is dry to touch. A little more texture for the next layer. And again, notice that I'm leaving some spots open where the next layer will be able to attach to the layer below it. Okay, add some more paint.